Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. Fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Hello again, Broncos Country, and welcome to what is apparently going to be the closeout episode of Bourbon Broncos and No BS here in the 2025-2026 season. Welcome. Appreciate you guys for joining us. We have a lot to talk about here after the just sloppy loss, if you can call it that, in the AFC Championship game 2 nights ago. We'll go around the room. We have a lot to talk about in today's episode. Please make sure you're posting your questions, comments, concerns. There's some off-season news already. Day 2 Kev's going to talk about some sort of wise quote, apparently, about off-season. And there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. First of all, Dave, Kev, thanks for being here. And how are you guys doing after this loss?
I mean, I think my name tag subtitle here says it all, Jared. We're on to 2026. Feeling okay. Feeling really optimistic. I know it's in 2026. We
lost in 20. It was still 2026.
Not in the 2026 regular season now. Do you see?
Okay.
5 regular season.
Okay. I just needed some clarity. That's all.
Well, there you go. And so. We've got Bo Nix probably coming back, looking to come back in May, maybe ready for OTAs. That kind of looks like the timeline that he's on. We've got a Denver Broncos team that is ready to be aggressive this offseason in pursuing free agents. I would imagine that with the 30th overall pick, they might try and be aggressive with their draft capital this year as well. So I think that they feel how close they are and how close they were this year. To really breaking through and making the Super Bowl. And I think that they want to try and pull the right levers this year. I think they can do it. I think the team's in really good hands, and I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I would say we're not in a rebuild by any stretch. I think we're officially in a Super Bowl window. Getting as close as we did. Window is officially open. So at this point, I'm not so concerned about, adding draft capital. And so hey, it's time to make some moves. It's time to get some people here. We don't have the Russell Wilson dead cap space holding us back. Let's get something done, right? And we have the talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, I think, kind of talked about in today's video. I think the offense was exposed. I think what we saw was Bo Nix elevates all the players around him. And we had Stiddy, and it wasn't great by any stretch of imagination, but we didn't see really anyone on offense step up right during this game.
No.
So I think we saw that this offense really needs a lot of work between running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Look, 𝐂𝐥𝐸 has a lot of potential, and like I said last night, I'm in no way calling him a bust or anything like that, but I'm not ready to hand him over the keys, right? 𝐂𝐥𝐸𝐬, I don't expect to come back. So look, I just think there's a lot of things to talk about, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where, look, with Bo Nix there, we'll be okay, but if we add some pieces and get them to the next level, I think, man, this team could look really, really sharp next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in agreement. We're not the Buffalo Bills, right? I think us beating the Buffalo Bills disappointed Bills fans more than this loss loses to us, even if it was a week before, right? You guys mentioned it. Our window is now open. We have a very young team. We have a young quarterback. We have a young defense that we can build around, and we're missing little pieces. And even then, we'll talk about that as this whole offseason goes on, what little pieces we think we need to fix. And I will argue, and as I see James's comment here and Kevin's comment earlier, I think we've learned our lesson, or maybe not. We could sit here and do it's the running back's fault game all day, but I think we learned the lesson that it's probably not the running back's fault that we're not getting 1,000-yard rushers every year. Can we just kind of agree with that? And
I
so
don't know about that.
maybe looking at like, oh, let's go spend a bunch of draft capital on Breece Hall. Let's go find somebody that's going to be the guy. J.K. was having a decent year this year. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't having back-to-back 100-yard games.
No, but he was also the first Denver Broncos rusher to have a 100-yard game in several seasons. I can't get on board with the idea that the running back room, we can go into the running back room as constructed next year, and the tight end room as well. We've got to change, but we've got to make over both of those rooms. I think that's not to say that the offensive line doesn't need to do a better job at run blocking, Jared. I think that's true. But I cannot get behind, like, you've got to find a more stable every down kind of back situation than J.K. Dobbins, who was really, really efficient when he was in there. It's just the injury history that he's had cropped up again. It's why he was such an available free agent at the time that he was, and it worked out the way that you could predict that it was going to work out. RJ Harvey, I think, he's like a plus player from a receiving standpoint out of the backfield. We've talked about it. When he gets the ball in his hands in space and gets a head of steam on him, he's so difficult to bring down. He's a physical runner. He's fast. At running back, he's not the kind of guy you want to be counting on an every down basis, at least not yet. So, Breece Hall, I think Breece Hall is a free agent this year. I think, I don't know about it. So I am definitely for going after that type of player who has shown an ability to be available. With free agency, like you said, we're going to have the money available. Those are the kind of guys that I would like to see go for, not necessarily spend draft capital on, but certainly you've got some free agent dollars to spend. Go get some.
Yeah, the free agency is going to be the big one. I don't think we're going to spend too much draft capital to try to trade up in this draft class. I will be honest, I did not watch a lot of college football this year. I don't see any big targets that we're going to want to try to trade up to get. I think whatever we get at 30 is going to be about where we're going to want it anyway. If anything, trading out of it to try to get more. But yeah, free agency, right? We are also losing a few people to free agency, right? We could talk about that, right? Defensive line, I think losing Franklin Myers is probably going to happen to free agency. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think during the bye week, we talked a little bit about the fact that I would love to give him the money that he deserves, but also I don't think we're ready to give him the money he deserves, and he's going to go get the money he deserves somewhere else. And if we can figure out a way to make it work, and we end up paying our defensive line more than we're paying our quarterback, then it is what it is. But I also think that we have the kind of core to our defensive line. I don't think that's where it needs to be. But yeah, we could talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about like today's news, right? So coaching. Right, a lot of questions come in here about coaching. Joe Lombardi, right? We talk about Joe Lombardi. Talk about the cornerback coach. How do we feel about these coaching firings in its current construct, and why do we think that happened?
I think for me, it's like maybe a fall guy, right? We're trying to point the blame. I know there's talk about moving our quarterbacks coach up to maybe potentially the offensive coordinator position, right? Drawing a blank on his name. You guys gonna help me here?
Oh, Davis Webb.
Thank you, Davis Webb. I'm like, Dan, it's not Dan. Davis Webb, yeah. Because I know lots of people are looking at him for potential coaching openings. I've heard rumors going around that the Raiders are potentially looking at him for a head coaching position, stuff like that. And I think part of it's like, hey, we want a young guy, up and comer. We want to get him now before somebody else does, right? But so maybe this is an opportunity for them to say, hey, we'll promote you if you stay here with the Broncos. I think some of it also boils down to you look at what the offense has done this year, hot and cold, on and off. Second year in a row where we're like top 2 in dropped passes. And yeah, we can talk about how Bo Nix, hasn't thrown the ball always perfectly, right? But still, fact of the matter is there's a lot of drop passes. We saw several of them on Sunday as well. At least two of them from Cortland Sutton. McLaughlin, one right there, jump off pass in the middle. His head was turned looking downfield before the ball was even in his hands. So I think there's things that need to be addressed, right? And maybe some of it falls on that reason, but I think it's also just, Davis Webb. Thanks, Mike. Just looking forward to see what else can we do to kind of push the organization to the next level.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this is an indication of for Sean Payton specifically. Is this just a minor shakeup for him, or is he really looking to transition his role in the coaching department? And guys, we were talking a little bit about it before we came on the show. Ian Rappaport tweeted out that Sean Payton was potentially interested in hiring Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady to come serve in the same role here in Denver, potentially with play calling duties attached. And so, Joe Brady, he and Joe Brady go way back. I think Sean Payton gave Joe Brady his first NFL coaching job back in 2017 when he was with the Saints. So definitely has a high opinion of him. But it's kind of the first time we've ever really heard the possibility of Sean Payton giving up play calling to anybody. So now does he feel comfortable doing that to Davis Webb? Because I think that's the only way you get Davis Webb to stay here at this point. Yeah. He's going to get an OC job at the very least where he gets to call plays. And like Roy says, he had an interview with the Raiders, a couple of interviews. They are very interested in him for their head coaching position. Definitely seen as an up-and-coming offensive coach. So, you may not have a prayer of keeping him anyway, but the only chance you have of keeping him is by giving him play-calling duties this year, I think. And we may be seeing a Sean Payton who is willing to do that when in times past we would have said that's absolutely ridiculous. He'd never do that.
Yeah, it really depends on how much you trust Davis Webb. And I honestly think the quarterback room loves the guy, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at any of the interviews with any of the quarterbacks, they talk about Davis Webb more than they talk about Lombardi or Sean Payton most of the time. They have very high, expectations of him, and they talk about him very highly, which is cool, which is nice to have. He might get a head coaching job. I mean, he interviewed with the Bills before they hired. The Bills also interviewed Philip Rivers, so I don't know how much you can look into this. But he interviewed with the Bills, he interviewed with the Raiders, and I would absolutely hate, anybody going to the Raiders in general, but I'd hate for him to go to be the head coach or offensive coordinator of the Raiders, especially if for some reason we lose to them at some point. Like, oh my God. Like I like the idea, and this, again, we were talking about this before the show and kind of collecting my thoughts. I like the idea of Sean Payton handing over play calling duties. I think there's a staleness to our play calling. I think there is the 2-man routes. I love the idea that he comes up with stuff all the time that gets people wide open, which is amazing. And he has this just second level nature of knowing how a defense is going to react to certain things. But it's not all the time. And I feel like we're really stuck in 2010 to 2017 offense when we're in 2026. And we really need to kind of move the offense into thinking a little bit differently. I like the idea of him giving up play calling, and it gives him an opportunity to kind of, focus his efforts on other places. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. If Davis Webb does get the official, if he gets the invite inside the thing, and we have the richest owners in America or something like that, and we can pay him some money to stick around and be our offensive coordinator and get the job here, that'd be awesome. Because again, I think everybody on that offense thinks very highly of Davis Webb. And if he does go somewhere, and we'll talk about Vic Fangio, and at this point we're all kind of just expecting Vic Fangio will not be back, because he'll get a head coaching job somewhere else as long as they hire him. But if we lost Vic Fangio and Davis Webb, I'd be more upset that we lost Davis Webb. I'll be honest.
Vance Joseph.
What did I say? Vic Fangio?
Vic Fangio, yeah. But yeah, Vance Joseph.
It's been a day, guys. Well, it's been a couple days.
I know. No, you're good. I just want to make sure I make sure that I didn't miss like a change in topic there too. No, I think this guy, he understands Bo, right? I think that's another piece to this. Like, he understands what works for Bo. And so, yeah, you can go get another person from outside the organization to come and be the OC there. But if Sean Payton is really, truly looking to give up play calling responsibilities, I think he wanted to go to somebody who already understands the quarterback that's been there for 2 years. and that they've been really working on building up. And so, you don't want to start that from scratch. So I think that's another maybe even reason for Webb to stay himself, right? He already knows what's going on. It just something else to build on his resume. Look, I think he'll be a head coach someday, but it's like, hey, let's take this step first. Stay here. We're damn close to a Super Bowl. We'd be going, and I can't prove it. We'd be going to the Super Bowl right now with Bo Nix, right? But I do think that this game kind of exposed what the offense needs to work on, and maybe that's probably part of what is driving some of these changes today. I don't know, but they have several moves, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they all pan out here in the next several days.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You let me run the show, so shame on you, Kev. But second, the comments, we're kind of driving towards the comments and answer your questions, but let's talk about the game. Let's talk about how we feel the offense did. And I'll be honest, I've been blanket saying to anybody who's walked up to me with sad puppy dog eyes and said, "How you doing?" Right after that game. I've gotten it all day yesterday and a lot of times this morning, people just coming up to me. Like, I think they're also trying to gauge whether or not they can ask me a question or if I'm going to be in a bad mood. They kind of are gauging what mood is he in right now? When they're asking me so how you doing? But I'll tell anybody who'll listen, including my CEO, who's a big New England fan, the better team did not win that game. And the only reason they won that game, I'd point to 4 plays, and we could talk about all 4 of them. Any of these 4 plays go our way, we win that game. Missed field goal, long field goal. So don't get me wrong, with the wind gusts, it's hard to blame Lutz there.
Blocked. It was blocked. Yeah, the second field goal. Yeah, the second field goal that he missed. Yeah, the one that he missed, I think, was blocked.
Okay, the super long one.
Lutz said that they might have lined up a yard short. They couldn't see the lines on the field.
He reviewed the tape the day after and said that he was incorrect. They lined up correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I missed that one. Thank you.
I was looking at the long one. It's like a 52-yard. He had the distance. But it went wide right. Was that
right?
One?
That's correct. No, and then the shorter one. The shorter one is the one that got blocked.
The shorter one, the blocked one. Yeah, the blocked one is what it is, right? I'm talking about the long 52-yard one. Before the snow really came down, right? There was some wind gusts, but not that bad. We missed a 52-yard. We make that one. I think we win the game. We have momentum. The 4th down call to go for it. I think we kick a field goal there, or we get that 1st down. And again, I'm not blaming Sean Payton. There's a lot of people out there that are talking about Sean Payton should have never gone for it. And I'll be honest, at the time I was like, Sean Payton should have never gone for it. We should have taken the points. But also in the position in the time, at the time we get momentum, we go up 14-0. It's a huge, huge deal. The play call, that's a whole other thing. I'm definitely blaming Sean Payton for that one.
Sure.
That's the problem.
So that's number 2. The 3rd one, and obviously clearly the most crucial of the whole thing, was the turnover, right, in their own red zone to where they score on the next play. Yeah, you got to take the sack. And then I forgot what the 4th one is because I had the whole list in my head. But those are kind of the 3 ones. Any of those 3 go our way, we win that game.
Yeah.
They had 80 yards total of offense, right? I think. Or something like that. Not on the ground. I think he rushed for more yards than he threw for. And there's a level of defensively, we were not spying him in any way, shape, or form. We were beat him with our leg, beat us with your legs, and he did.
Yeah, he did because he scored 13 points, 10 points. So yeah, he beat us with his legs.
He scored 10 points.
Yeah,
it was that one long run. He
beat us with our legs in needed 1st downs.
That's it.
He beat us with the legs in the touchdown, right? He took off. He's the one that got the touchdown. He beat us with the legs in times with 3rd and longs. I don't know how many 3rd and longs he got a 1st down on. It had to have been 3 at least. But really, if any of those 3 go our way, we win that game. Our defense stopped them every single time.
Yeah.
And we could not capitalize when we got down in the end. I mean, the whole first half was in our hands.
Yeah.
And then the second half with the snow and everything going on, I don't even blame anybody on the second half. The second half, even the blocks kick with the wind flurries and all that stuff, I don't blame anybody. We should have won that game in the first half. And we didn't. And we were clearly the better team. And it just the balls did not bounce our way. And sometimes that happens.
And I don't want to play, I don't want to go so far with the if narrative with Bo Nix, because it might lead people to the idea that I think Bo Nix is the best quarterback in the conference or something like that. I want to make it very clear. I think Bo Nix has a lot of stuff to improve upon. He's not a perfect quarterback. I can't say that I would feel good about Bo Nix and the Denver offense going up against the Seattle Seahawks defense if they were in the Super Bowl. I would not feel good about that at all, in fact. But I will say I feel pretty confident that Bo Nix's playmaking ability would have been the difference to the Denver Broncos winning this game. Just in the scenarios that you're talking about, guys, and it's not so much the 4 specific plays that I want to focus in on as the idea that this game came down to a razor's edge on every play. Every play.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is in a 10-7 loss, obviously, but the kind of plays that Drake May was making with his legs are the kind of plays that Bo Nix has been making all year. And he would have made, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, he would have made those kind of plays when it mattered. He didn't have to make many. That's it. The Broncos offense really just missed the 4 or 5 plays that Bo Nix makes for them every game that most quarterbacks just won't. And that was the difference. And so to me, I think it speaks a little bit more to why we're talking about the coaching now and why we're talking about, man, that's a little bit more of a systemic offense problem that we have to count, live or die by 4 or 5 Bo Nix plays to get to 14-3 and then, be a win away from the Super Bowl. But at the very same time, is that sustainable on a game-to-game basis? I don't think so. And so it exposes a little bit more of a weakness on that side of the team for me. But I'm just overall still so optimistic about where we're going.
Yep.
Yeah.
First off, Andrew, I hope you feel better, man. I'm sure it's still worth it to be there, because to be at that game, first time in 10 years, the Broncos hosted AFC Championship game. But you just see like Courtland Sutton dropping at least one big one, if not 2. You see McLaughlin dropping one. I think little Jordan Humphrey had one. And you're like, guys, what are we doing here? Like, we already know that our margin for error, because we have Jarrett Stidham, is basically 0. And when he delivers the ball, and it's not great, but it gets in your hands again, you're like, dude, you've got to find a way. If we caught 2 of those 4 drop passes, we could be having different conversation. Now it'd be like, okay, well, now we gotta go against Seattle in the Super Bowl, and that doesn't look good with Jarrett Stidham at all. But it's been 2 years now of us talking about drop passes. Why do we have so many drop passes? That cannot happen 3 years in a row, man. And it's going to happen from time to time, but we cannot be in the top 2 of drop passes in the league.
Well, they just fired the wide receivers coach today, so maybe they'll get
why.
Maybe we'll see one. Also, another coaching note that I don't think we've touched on, guys, but we should talk about how well the defense played in this game, because they played lights out. I think it was a bad matchup from the Patriots' perspective from the get-go, considering what they like to do, and how the Broncos, 𝐂𝐥𝐸 had nothing against Pat Surtain. And Stephon Diggs isn't the player that he used to be. But Jim Leonard has departed to be the Bills defensive coordinator. Looks like Vance Joseph going to stay. So Jared, I'll go to you with this one. Did you see enough out of the defense in this game to go into next year confident that we would be able to field maybe not like a top 5 defense, but like a top 12 defense on a week in, week out basis?
Yes, and I'll say that for 3 players.
Okay.
All secondary players. Hufanga, Pat Surtain, and Brandon Jones. Right? All 3 of them. First of all, Jones coming back, right? He was injured, and he did not end up playing in this game. I don't think it would have made a difference. The ball never got thrown downfield. I think our defensive line, right? I think Allen being healthy is absolutely fantastic for us. I think our defensive line's there. Missing JFM next year is going to be rough. But I think that we have a chance to find another guy. I mean, look at Malcolm Roach was playing pretty well. I think who was the guy that ended up with 2 interceptions this season, and he was like our 3rd, 4th string defensive lineman.
No.
D'Andrea Tillman.
Yeah,
and they
Tillman.
also they like what they. I think they are gonna. We're gonna see more Savion Jones next year. Shout out to Q Robinson, who continues to just like boy. I love Jonah Ellis, and I don't want to say that his place on the team is expendable, but man, I feel like if it comes down to those two guys, it's going to be really hard to let Q Robinson walk out the door. You're not really at that decision point yet. Both are young players. Yeah. You have control over them for a couple more years. But that's the pass rushing room is so deep. It's so cool.
Yeah. Keith, I love this comment, and I love you with the brothers in arms here. But I also want to say, like, I don't need him. Interceptions are great, right? It's a huge turnover, but I need to keep him just laying the boom. Like he's been absolutely, he's all over the field, and every time I watch a Broncos game, he is always at the ball. He's always all over the field. I have a lot of confidence if VJ stays. This defense is going to be number one in the league next year, and everybody is going to be like, crap, we have to play the Denver Bronco defense next year. And we're not losing a lot of players, right? Linebackers, I think is, David, I'm going to make a pitch now. It's now officially the offseason. So here is the start of my inside linebacker bro coming out. Inside linebacker would be great to kind of shore up. I'd say.
I'm with you. I'd love to add players to that room. It's like the running back and the tight end room for me. Let's get some new talent in there.
Absolutely. I think Drake Greenlaw, for when he was healthy, was admirable. He's not the Drake Greenlaw that we saw in San Francisco. I'll be honest. I wish he was a little bit more, and maybe it's just because we don't need him as much, or we don't see him as much because we don't rely on him as much. Because our defensive lineman is doing what they need to do. Our pass rushers, we haven't talked about Cooper or Bonito. Like, we have both those guys coming back next year. We signed Bonito, I think, to a longer term deal earlier in the season. I do think our defense is the strength of this, which is super cool, because now if you're looking in the offseason, you're like, hey, we got to go out and get these free agents. We could debate it all day, and we probably will in another episode, who we need to go get and where we need to kind of focus our energy on. But we can focus around building around Bo Nix. We get focused around building around this offense and making this offense a little bit more strong. And I'll be honest, all season, I've been saying, guys, our wide receiver room's fine. Our wide receiver room's fine. I think we need a big play wide receiver.
It's got to be a playmaker somewhere along the offense. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be at wide receiver. And I don't want to revive the term joker. It got used to death during the offseason, and it never became a thing at any point during the 2026 season. Never became a thing. But we do need an explosive playmaker, a big name, big time explosive playmaker, whether it's at tight end, whether it's at wide receiver, even at running back. That would change this offense, the dynamics of this offense in a big way.
Yeah. I love this from Not Making the Cut podcast. TVs need to catch the ball with their thumbs to get the two. Need more turnovers in 2026. I agree. I think, that. And for the record, I think the second half of the season is when we kind of really started coming around to it. Obviously, this last game, we didn't get any turnovers, which is rough. But in the Buffalo game, I mean, we were creating turnovers left and right. Interceptions, sure. But I also like the idea that, like, I'm a big believer in that punts are turnovers. As long as you stop them from scoring and you make them punt, then that's put the ball in the offensive hands. Let the offense go and do what they need to do. And if we have an offense that can go down and score, then we don't need turnovers. We just it's the Kansas City, the Buffalo, those teams. All they need is a defense to stop them from scoring and make them punt, and then the offense can drive down, whether it's 3 or 7. It's on the offense to go do that thing. So yeah,
that's it. Like we've had offensive futility for a stretch of so long that we are now a little bit. I don't know about spoiled, but we're still getting used to the idea that we have a functional offense now instead of a garbage offense. But we still don't have that offense that that opposing fan bases go, oh man, you're kicking it to the Broncos with this much time left. It's an automatic score the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to have if you really want to be in the conversation to win Super Bowls year in and year out.
Absolutely.
I think if they hit in free agency and maybe even the draft too, I mean, getting the number 30 draft pick, that's pretty low down there, but you don't know. You find some late round hits or whatnot. Like this offense isn't far away from being to at least a more dangerous level. And we saw those moments throughout the season of like them eating up 7-8 minutes of the clock and just draining and moving the ball efficiently. And they do a very good job. Bo Nix does a great job of protecting the football. And that's something else we haven't seen from our quarterbacks, up until Bo Nix. So we're close, and that's where I'm sitting here saying, like, we are in a Super Bowl window. So I want to see this organization act like it when it comes to free agency and the draft. Let's go make this happen. It's right there. We're on the cusp of getting something where, and you look at how many of those long passes Bo Nix made this year that just were on the fingertips of the wide receivers or just, barely overshot them. I don't think that's going to be a problem next year. I think, if even half of those attempts are completed, like that's an offense that's going to really get clicking again. So, it'll take more pressure off of the defense too, but I get what you're saying, Jared. It punts our turnovers, but it's really nice when you get a turnover that is already on the opponent's side of the field, or it goes back for a pick six or a scoop and score, right? The fact that we went all season until week 18 before seeing a pick six, it was painful. It's like, I just want one.
Yeah, but before we go into halftime, I'll just touch on this real quick. I think Broncos country is a little spoiled. And by that, I mean, we're spoiled by the 2015 team. And the team that had the no-fly zone that would pick off every single ball that was thrown in their general vicinity. And yeah, I'm down for it. I get it. We need to. But we also can't forget that we had the most sacks in the season.
Agreed.
Right? By 12. Yeah. We were absolutely destroying quarterbacks, and we were getting to the backfield, and we were forcing punts. We were forcing them to long field position. So, like, I would love to have it both ways. And I think the spoiled part of Broncos country, and the reason we're saying all this is because, like, last time we won a Super Bowl, we had the no-fly zone. And that no-fly zone would get at least a pick six per game, right? Like, so it was one of those things that, like, you could put money on. I mean, back in the day, we probably didn't have DraftKings at the time, but, like, you'd put money on a pick six or some sort of defensive score, and it was probably even money. Right, like it was not an uncalled for thing to know that like 𝐂𝐥𝐸 or Chris Harris was going to get some sort of pick, or Justin Simmons, all of them was going to get some sort of interception for a touchdown, or a strip sack or whatever it was. I mean, we go back to that Super Bowl. I mean, that was how we won it. We won off of 3 strip sacks. So and with those strips off the table, I agree. Absolutely, we're spoiled. Man, you hit it before I even said it. I didn't even see your. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, take those strip sacks, and we got this. But there's also a level of we're fast forward 10 years into the league, and people are now protecting the ball a lot more than they used to, specifically on the strip sacks, I believe. I think quarterbacks are a lot smarter to people coming around the outside and going from there. So, okay, before we go into the second half, let me give you the rundown of what we got here at Broncos And NO B.S. The offseason, we will update you as it goes. Stay tuned to both of our Facebook and our YouTube as we update you. We will be giving you a Broncos updates throughout the season, the rest of the offseason, and then as we go into OTAs and as news comes up before the draft, we'll have a show. We'll have a show before OTAs start. We'll have a bunch of things going on for you in this offseason. But obviously, just as much as you guys need a break, we need a little bit of a break too. So it's going to be few and far in between. I think we're going to keep the Tuesday shows. Kev, forgive me if I'm wrong. Tuesday shows are going to stay here. We may limit them down to 30 minutes instead of an hour, but we will be here every Tuesday. Kev and somebody will be here every Tuesday just to talk about whatever's on your mind. Like, bring it up. Like, talk about, like, hey, it's been a while since they've seen a Bronco game. I really want to see Broncos come back and play this second next season. Absolutely, come join us as we talk about the Broncos during the off season. I mean, that's really what it is. We'll have the podcast coming back. We'll be posting some things on podcasts over the course of the thing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that if we post some podcasts over the off season, you get notified and we'll let you know what we're talking about. We're going to talk a lot about the draft as the draft gets closer. We're going to talk about off season acquisitions. I bet if we get a big off season acquisition, you better believe we're going to be live on Tuesday talking about it and making sure that you guys are fully well aware of what's going on in our thought process on that. And then we obviously want to hear your opinions as well. And then don't forget, make sure you guys sign up for broncosandbourbon.com. If you sign up now and you do the email thing with the computer and then you put in your Hotmail address, you will get a free to the tiers. After the Super Bowl, we're going to start doing tiers of like of how you're going to be able to get things onto the website. If you sign up now, you get a free upgrade to the first tier. So make sure you do that now before we go into the off season after the Super Bowl, and so you can get that free upgrade. And then we will we sold part of David's puff ball collection. When we say part of it, I went in there with scissors last time I visited David, and I literally cut parts of his puff ball out, and I made a collage of his face. And we're gonna sell it to make sure that we can pay for your free upgrades on broncosandbourbon.com.
He showed me a picture of it. It's the reason that I have a therapist now.
Oh, yes. That's why I like to buy it. Little effigy in my closet of David. Just wait. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Really quickly, last thing, Jared.
Disturbing turn.
Jared and I need to make a decision on when we're going to do it, but we got a fan appreciation episode.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we have to do it before I leave again.
Oh yeah, we'll do it the next couple. Yeah, we'll do it in the next couple of weeks, and so look out for the announcement, guys. We'll let you all know. But as you know, we've done this multiple years in a row now, and our chance to just sit back and hang out with you guys and give away a ton of Broncos prizes to say thank you for being supporters of the show.
Absolutely. We do this because of you guys. We are not here to talk to each other. We can talk to each other and call each other all we want. We do it because of you guys. We love talking to Broncos Country, and we appreciate the crap out of it. Every year we've done Clayton day one OG here, baby. We've been doing this because every year we do the fan appreciation show to give away something, just to give you guys some sort of thank you for being part of Team Bourbon Broncos No BS and Team Orange Weekly. And we're going to keep doing it until you guys tell us to get off the air and that you don't like seeing our face or hearing our voices anymore. And when that starts happening, we'll debate it. We'll debate it. Yeah. We'll have a discussion. But for the most part, no, we have a lot of fun giveaways. I got a new laser engraver, so I think I might make some stuff just for funsies. So start giving away and let you guys have some free stuff. And for those of you guys that joined us in the past giveaways, a lot of great stuff has been given away. This year we gave how many jerseys did we give away for our 10-year anniversary this year? 4
so far. Just we gave away 3 when we hit 10 wins. 3 when we hit 10 wins. So we got lots that we want to give away. We want to give you guys some stuff to take home, and just remember that, again, we want to appreciate you guys for following us, regardless of what you guys do. I really appreciate you guys being here, because that's why we're here.
I'm fairly certain that's a biohazard.
We're not giving away your hairs.
No. Who would want them?
Maybe that will be a trivia question, Sean. Maybe. We'll see.
No, this year there's going to be some math to it. There's going to be some math to it. Like if you took
I've grown since then.
And you added, you've grown something, all right. You've grown the audacity is what you've goddamn grown. Anyway.
Good stuff, guys. Yeah. Well, hey, we got another half of the show to go, man. What else is on our minds?
Yeah, I would love to talk to you guys about what you think the Denver Broncos should do. It's early, but we can talk about off-season stuff now because it's the off-season. What do you guys want to do with the 30th pick in the draft? It's shaping up like we talked about last year's draft as a talent-poor draft. This year's even worse. Like there may be a total of 10 players, 12 players that get first-round grades this year, maximum. And
NIL is killing us.
Well, I don't think about we can debate the merits of NIL or not. The talented players are going to come into the draft at some point. What I'm wondering, guys, is do you guys at that depth in the draft, do you guys think it's even worth trying to stay and pick, or are you automatically in favor of trading down to try and get some more capital? You go ahead, Kevin.
If we were in a rebuild, I would say let's maybe talk about trading back and whatnot. But and it kind of depends on who's there. But I'm very much of the opinion like let's take the next best available on the offense. Maybe it's a running back, maybe it's wide receiver, maybe it's a tight end, right? I don't know. Maybe it's an offense, but we'll have to look and see. But I'm not. I want to get people at this point, right? We're this close to a Super Bowl. I don't know if trading back is really going to do much for us right now. So it's going to be tough because it is a talent poor draft. So maybe we're looking at going like there is nothing even close. No one even close to a first round draft pick here. But man, I like to think that at some point, like we see something on our scouting sheets or something to say like, this is a guy that we want to risk getting right now because he may not be there in the second round by the time we come back around to us for our second round pick. So I don't want to take any chances. If there's a guy there that we want, oh, let's get him. Let's freaking get him.
I caution with the talent poor draft. And I say that because if you look at in the past when we say, oh man, this draft doesn't have a lot of great things. And David, we had talked in depth over the last 10 years about draft classes. And we have talked in depth about how draft classes and when you're drafting, there's really only 10 first round picks, right? In any draft class, the top 10 are really the ones that you're like, okay, I got to go out there. And then let's look at the past. Let's look at all these top 10 draft picks in the past 5 or 6 years. How many of those top 10 worked out? 5, probably, right? And then you look at, okay, in that draft class, how many of they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's like the guy. When was JSM drafted?
I think he was a 3rd round pick.
Okay. And now he's about to get a big number, right? And so Pat Ryan, who is turned into kind of our number 1 wide receiver before he started getting injured, he was a 2nd round pick. And you look at these guys and you look at them and you're like, okay, yes, it's a talent poor draft, but there are diamonds in the rough in this draft. And it's just whether or not they were in, and whether it be NIL or whatever, whether or not they were in a system that works for them. Or are we going out there and we're looking at them like at day to day, like down to down, this player is the best player on the field. Whether or not he's getting targeted, this goes back to the whole Ingram, and we'll talk about the tight ends during this offseason before I take off again to go, do the thing out on the other side of the world. We'll talk about this again. Down to down, we have some players. Evan Ingram, I think, is still an absolutely fantastic player, and we could talk about going out and getting tight ends all the time. I think we need a true tight end. I don't think we need a wide receiver that dresses up like a tight end. But there's a lot of players out there that down to down are doing the right things, and I think that we can go get it. I definitely don't think trading up is in our wheelhouse. And to Kev, Dan, to your point, we're not in a rebuild. We don't need to trade up to get anybody. Trading back, I wouldn't be surprised if we traded back because get a couple picks for that 30-round pick, get a 2nd round and maybe a 2nd round in the future or a 3rd round in the future. I'll take it. I think that we have a draft class, and I think we have a Sean Payton who is, and both Paytons, let's be honest, who have a team of scouts that are out there doing their job. And I think we've done a really good job of drafting in the past 4 or 5 draft classes, or 3 draft classes for sure. I don't see us trading up in this class. If we trade back, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we stick around at 30. I think there's a guy out there that we like, RJ Harvey. When did we get him? 2nd round?
Late 2nd round,
3rd?
60.
2nd round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ended up being a guy that we're talking about being the possible future number 1. So drafts are, and this is over the years I've had opinions about this. Drafts are one of those things that at the end of the day, you could say Bradley Chubb, right? I'm going to say a word where we go out there and we're like, this is the guy. This is the dude. This is the guy that's going to go out there. And it wasn't just us. It was across the league. And it was across all the national media. And it's like, this is the guy that's going to change your career, and he ends up just not being the guy. And so I trust that our scouting department is doing what they need to do. And 30, for me, is really no different than 15. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's that big of a difference in athletic ability.
Yeah. But I like what you said. We've been building through the draft very well for the past several seasons.
Yeah,
and I have a lot of trust.
on their second contracts that got drafted by this team now, and that's a really good thing. Or third contracts even.
He's trying to start fights. You guys ready?
Do it.
You're trying to start a fight. Brothers in arms. Brother, I appreciate your comment. I appreciate that you feel this way.
Boy.
When he had the ball catchable, this dude was lights out. We did not target him enough. And then when we did target him, that ball was not catchable. And so in the times that he was targeted, when he had the ball in his hands, he was electric. Another reason why I think we underutilized Marvin Mims. What Evan Ingram and Marvin Mims did to piss off Sean Payton to not be a first look or to get open is beyond me. But if you watch Evan Ingram's tape, if you watch his tape, when he's wide open, he's either not getting the ball or it's getting thrown at his feet. And for the most part, he's finding the holes and he's doing exactly what he needs to do. I think he was blocking well for the most part at the tight end position. But I also know that Evan Ingram, we got him knowing that he was a wide receiver dressed up in a tight end number. And so we had to get the ball to him. And in order to get the ball to him, you have to scheme him open. And we never did. And when we did scheme him open, the ball was either thrown at his feet or it just was not thrown to him. And so we needed to find ways to make Evan Ingram the first read.
You say we keep him then?
I 100% say we keep him.
I could see that. And I could also see a large contingent of Broncos country. I'm not going to say the word upset, but being very confused as to why we keep him. But I see what you're saying. He was totally underutilized, and that's a really huge disservice because I was so excited when I saw that we were getting him. And we had seen this lackluster tight end performance from the Broncos for how many years now, and I really thought like, hey, this is the guy that's going to get the tight end room going again. And we just didn't see that all season long outside of a couple of plays.
There's two things, David. I'll hand over to you in a second. There's two things. One, when you have a tight end that's a wide receiver first, tight end second, they're going to figure that you're going to go out for a route, right? They're going to cover you. The reason Troutman got so many catches is because no one was expecting him to go out for a route. Like he was open because everybody was expecting he's in there to block, and that's kind of why he ended up being open, and he ended up doing pretty well in the position. But the second thing for that is the only confusion I have is that we went out and got him and said, I need this guy on my team, and then we didn't utilize him. That's my frustration. I wish we would have utilized him more, and I do believe there's utilization in him. He is not done. We just need to figure out how to use him. And we just did not, between him and Marvin Mims, those are the two biggest disappointments on the offense, and it's not their fault. It's not the player's fault that we did not utilize them the way we should have. David, over to you.
It's hard to have strong feelings on Evan Ingram, to be honest with you. He did make plays throughout the season. He scored that touchdown against the Eagles that helped us win that game. That was our banner win of the season at the time. He's made plays in other games, but then there's other times where he just has disappeared. He's dropped balls. It's not been consistent. He's dropped a couple of balls, Jared. He dropped a couple of balls. There were some.
Show me picture didn't happen. Videos or it didn't happen.
Videos. We'll do videos, not pictures, because if you do it just by pictures,
we all know Buffalo Bills would have had it.
But but he didn't. Anyway. I have no strong feelings one way or the other, mostly because we didn't sign him to a big money deal. Like he was another one of those players that we brought in this season on low risk, high reward deals, just because we knew their injury history. And so we're not paying him a ton. He's not costing us a bunch against the cap. He's going to, I think he's under contract next season. I don't believe he was a 1-year signing.
I thought we got 2 years on him. I'll look it up.
So too.
Oh, I thought it was 1 year. Okay, well then, he's definitely back. We're not going to cut him.
No,
if that's the case.
But I'm not necessarily saying it's he was like the most criminally underrated part of our offense this year either. It just it was what it was, and it could be better, and hopefully it will.
Well, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm looking at one of the things I'm looking at this offseason is why was he not involved very often? And how much of that is my fault, right? What? That's what I'm saying. Like Sean Payton needs to look at that. And you're saying,
how much of it is your fault, Kevin, specifically?
No, well, a lot of it's
60-70%,
no.
I would say.
But from Sean Payton's viewpoint, he needs to be looking at saying, what do we need to do better on offense to get him more involved, right? And getting him more looks, like what you're saying, Jared. More plays are designed specifically to get him open and to make him the first read. I think he's one of those players. Once you get him going, right, you get that momentum behind him and everything. Like I think that he still has a huge upside to him. So I think he'll be back next year, and if we find a way to make him more prevalent in the offense, I think he could be a huge weapon for us.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and Ray, Roy, Keith, and Ken, you guys could probably correct me. I am terrible at like contracts, which is probably why I would not be a good coach in the NFL. And figuring out this, but I think a lot of this has to do with Russell Wilson's contract being done this year. So we paid him just under $3 million base, under $3 million signing. He only got paid $6 million this year to play for us. He's getting paid $14 million next year, which for the record is still less than Stidham's getting paid. And so how they split that up to we're like, hey, well, we're giving you a 2-year contract, but you're going to get paid like 3 times as much in the second year. So like, do what you need to do. I do think that he comes back. It's $10 million dead cap space. We're not going to take that just to cut him for no reason. Like there's no reason to cut him. He'll be back next year. I think we need to figure out how to utilize it. And that's, if I'm going to have a frustration in our offense this year, it's underutilizing some of the skill players that we probably should have utilized more. I think, and there's a lot of comments in here, and I mentioned it a couple times. I think Marvin Mims was underutilized in the offense, and I think Evan Ingram was underutilized in this offense. I do believe, I love the idea that Franklin Myers we're trying to get Franklin Myers going. It did not work out. I like the idea that we were trying to get, when we got little Jordan Humphrey back, and we really brought him back as a blocking wide receiver because he's amazing at blocking. But we tried to get him going and it just didn't work out. I love the idea we got Pat Bryant going as a rookie. Yeah. I think he's got a lot of upside in a part of a young team that's part of growing up. And I would not be surprised. I'll be honest, my Madden team, I'm in like year 2030. He is my number 1 wide receiver, and Bo Nix is still playing for the record. For the Broncos, I may have been playing with the cap a little bit, but Pat Bryant has a lot of upside in his rookie year. He did absolutely fantastic. We need to keep him healthy. I think at the end of the year, a lot of scares. Concussion scares are dangerous as a wide receiver, and we got to get him healthy. But I think Marvin Mims. But honestly, there's a lot of talk. And I'm gonna pass this over to you because this is the next conversation piece. How do you feel about Cortland Sutton?
A lot of these comments. Really quickly, too many failed screen pass. People saying less screen passes. I think we double down on the number of screen passes next year. I say we just do like nothing but. I'm just kidding, obviously, because I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
so many screen passes.
I think Spotty would have to disagree with you.
But with Cortland,
Spotty loves screen passes.
I think we go out and if we can find, like what we were talking about earlier, a real top-notch wide receiver, playmaker kind of guy, Cortland Sutton can be a really, really strong wide receiver too. And then you have Pat Bryant behind him. You have Marvin Mims there as well. You have Evan Ingram utilizing him, right? Like we have the talent there. And so Cortland, again, once you add more playmakers out there, it takes less of the focus off Cortland Sutton. We see what Cortland Sutton can do. But I think when it's like, hey, you take Cortland Sutton out and that's a huge piece of their offense, they're going to put a lot of focus on him. So I'm not over Cortland Sutton. I'm not thinking we need to get rid of him or anything like that. I just think we need to get more help out there.
I still think Cortland Sutton is a top 20 wide receiver in this league, and I don't think that's a controversial statement to make at all. It's even when offenses are gearing up to stop Cortland Sutton, we have found times to get the ball to him this season, and that to me tells me, he's a number 1. He may not be in the conversation of a Justin Jefferson type of number 1, but there's so few players that can do that. And so, it's why I went back a little bit earlier when you said get a stud wide receiver. And I just said, get a stud playmaker, get somebody on this offense that opens things up a little bit more. relating it to Mims, it's like, I don't know if it's just that he won't run block the way that Sean Payton wants, or what, that he just doesn't get on the field on an offensive way. It really feels like he could be an asset and not just by catching the ball, but by what he can do to take pressure off of other players. That we'll see if they find a way to make that a bigger part of the offense next year. But certainly I would talk about screens in the context, but and then I'll throw this back to you, Jared. I'll talk about screens in the context of I think it's Sean Payton thinks of screens as a more efficient way to run the football. I'm not sure if it actually is or not, but I think that's how Sean Payton thinks of it, and that's why I think we see so many of them every game.
That's actually a good point, David, and you backed off on it, which makes me frustrated. Screens are ways to spread the field horizontally, right? So if we can keep throwing the screens, that's going to force people to line up a little bit further outside to try to stop those screens, which gives us more opportunity to run inside zone or inside power. And so we want to open up the inside to be able to break that apart and get the running back upfield and one-on-one with a linebacker, or possibly chip a defensive lineman to go to linebacker and get those big pieces up front. The problem that we saw this year is it never really worked out. I mean, there was probably a couple games earlier in the season where we probably ran 5 or 6 screens and they kind of spread it out, and it allowed us to get 10, 20-yard gains on the inside. And there was a big 𝐁𝐸 run. There's a big 𝐃𝐞𝐬𝐳 run. Inside bounced out to the end zone, I think from 20, 30 yards out. And the screens is what opened it up. My problem with the screens is less that we're running them as much as we are, and more of after we do one, we're not following it up with the right plays, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to follow it up with a running right away, as opposed to run the screen, get 3 to 4 yards, and then pass it, and then line up in the same play look that we ran the screen in, pump the screen, give it to the running back. We never saw any of that. We never saw that second level thinking of hey, if we pump the screen after we've run it 15 times this game, we're probably going to open up the middle because everyone's going to roll. We never saw any of that, and I think that's again and again, that's just my personal opinion, and I think that I'm clearly not an NFL offensive coordinator for a reason, and so that's just my thought process on it.
It's interesting. I think it's just frustrating when you see the screens and they either get tackled for a loss, or you're lucky to get a 3 to 4 yard gain. I'm trying to how many screens did we see that maybe got back to the line of scrimmage? They usually were busted. And I think that's the problem. You can get it. I just don't. Maybe I'll go back and look at it. But I just don't remember.
I feel like 90% of our screens got at least 4 yards. 90% of our screens got at least 4 yards. And some of them broke out for huge. And especially in the early part of the season, if you guys look back, Marvin Mims, the only time we ever used him was those screens. And there was times he was getting 12 to 15 yards per screen. There was a touchdown. I mean, I think there was a game, I forget which game it was. There was a game we played that our only touchdowns were on screen. You guys, I don't know which game it was. You guys remember which one it was?
I have no idea.
I just don't remember it working that way. But maybe it did. Maybe I'm off. I don't know.
I'm just enjoying the discussion here. You guys are going crazy. I love it.
Well, we're going to have a lot of time to talk about it during the offseason, and Jared tries to look it up. But we can do some closing thoughts, go around the room and wrap this one up, guys. And then unless, Jared, you want to say anything else about the screens while you look it up.
I'm looking it up. We can do closing thoughts. Oh, I guess we are at that time.
I'll go first.
Time got away from me.
I'll go first so Jared can look it up a little harder. Guys, it's just, I feel like it's the same thing that I thought going into the AFC Championship game, which is that the Broncos won a playoff game, and that to me, showed me they can compete with the NFL's best. They can go up toe-to-toe against the rest of the AFC quote-unquote contenders in a playoff situation and win one. And that's the most important takeaway from the season to me. Now, you've got to go out there and prove it immediately next year because you've got a first-place schedule on your hands, and that's, no joke. But you've got a team this year that proved that it's battle-tested enough to handle that kind of thing. And so you go into the offseason and into the 2026 season with all the confidence in the world that you're going to be back there again. And that's a really cool place to be as a Broncos fan.
Yeah. Short and well said, man. I totally agree. I'm going to say it right here. I said it on yesterday's show, and I'm going to stick to it. I think this time next year, we're sitting here talking about how we are ramping up into our Super Bowl appearance for Super Bowl 61. I think the team is that close. And, assuming we stay healthy, we were smart on the draft. We're smart in free agency. We get these playmakers. Bo Nix going into his third year. I just don't see how we do anything other than take a step forward. This is the second year in a row where the Broncos have overperformed what the, general consensus or expectation of them going into the season was going to be, and so why not next year? It's become a destination team. The facilities are there. The ownership is there. We got the money. We got a new stadium on the way. Like, this is a place players are going to want to come, and it's going to start this year. So the fact that we've done what we've done with the dead cap space hit is absolutely remarkable. And so to tell me that, well, now that that's going away, you're going to do just as good, if not worse, I just don't see it. Right. So I think next year, Bo Nix is going to want to get back to this position. He's going to want to play in that championship game. The rest of the guys were so close. They tasted a Super Bowl, right? It was right there. It was right there in their grasp. And I think that's just going to add fuel to the fire for them to reach out next year and make it happen. So, look, I think we win the West again. We have just a good season. It'll be tough, but obviously this team, at least at its core, they know how to face adversity. They know how to come back from any situation. Doesn't matter how bad it is. They're not afraid of it. And they're going to be ready to go. So I'm looking forward to it. And guys, don't forget, every Tuesday night we'll be here talking about stuff and if anything, just hanging out. So there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about, and make sure you join every Tuesday night. Looking forward to it. Jared, buddy, what you got?
Yeah, so I want to bring up Sean's comments. I feel like this is Sean's closing thoughts. I'm going to give him the stadium here. The dark ages are over. Rebuilding is over. Let's get stronger on some weak areas of the roster and have a great offseason. Go Broncos. Sean, I appreciate your comment there. I think that's important. Like, we are living in a pipe dream right now. Maybe not right now. 2 days ago, we were living in a pipe dream. If you ask literally any Broncos fans at the beginning of the season, I said, hey, by the way, you're going to be the number one AFC seed, and you're going to be in the you're going to ultimately be in the NFC Championship, and you're going to lose a very close game in the snow to the New England Patriots. Nobody would have believed you. Nobody would have believed you. And so we are in a position now where, okay, we have some small things, nitpicky things that we're trying to figure out on the offensive side of it. We're maybe some nitpicky things we want to figure out on the defense side. But ultimately, we're in a position now where the window is open, and it's a young window. We're not the Bills fans. I said it earlier in the season. Bills fans, that window is closing quick, and they just fired their head coach. That it's closing, and we're now in a position where we are going to have multiple years ahead of us of a young quarterback we're going to build around. We have a great defensive reigning defensive player of the year until next week. In Pat Surtain, and it's just an absolutely fantastic defense. And we have so many things going for us that we just have to kind of relish in the moment of like, yeah, we missed the moment here, but Super Bowl would have been wild, beyond our wildest dreams at the beginning of the season. Other than those, fans that are like Super Bowl every year, that thought we were going to make Super Bowl with Russell Wilson too. We are beyond our wildest dreams in the idea that the Denver Broncos are the team to beat next year. We are the reigning number one AFC champions, or the AFC, number one AFC seed. And really, again, I'll say it again, we were the better team out there. The ball bounced not our way a couple times, and that sucks. But we were the better team, and everybody knows it. Even the Patriots know it. They're going to go out there and get stomped. Like national media is talking about like a Seattle Broncos type Super Bowl.
That should have been my final thoughts. Man, I'm glad I don't have to play Seattle in the Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah. And here's the last thing I'll say is, in the playoffs, what is the first thing that everybody says? This person doesn't have any playoff experience. This team doesn't have any playoff experience. Well, guess who does now? And guess who still has a young team? Who's going to get to the playoffs and they're going to be like, hey, these guys, like they beat the Bills last year in a good weather game. In a bad weather game, they lost to New England, but they were playing very well in the playoffs. These guys are a playoff experienced team now, and we have a young team that we can build around, and there's just so much good stuff happening for Broncos country. And I'm just going to live in it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be back for the full next season next year, hopefully. And it's just absolutely a fantastic time to be a Broncos fan. And I hope you guys join us through the offseason. I hope you guys are continuing to follow us. And again, thank you guys. The last thing I'll say is thank you guys so much for the season that we've had, for the fan base, for the comments, for all the times that we disagreed with you, or all the times that we agree with you or you agree with us. Like, this is what we're here for. This is why we do it. And I just absolutely thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have given us and giving us this platform to be able to do what we do. Thank you so much. Anyways.
Hey, 10 years down, here's to the next 10.
We got year 11 coming next year. We got 10 more coming. And this is the wrap up for the 2026 season. We will be here for as long as you guys are willing to watch us. Thank you guys so much. And we'll end this with a very strong Go Broncos.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know